Caitlin Clark is out. She is out tonight.
Caitlin Clark out yet again with a left groin injury.
Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury.
People are saying that Caitlin Clark got injured.
Off as Clark's back in.
Right there.
Down.
All right, on that play
and
that just happened, that it may be where the injury transpired.
Something's not right. New footage has just surfaced, and it's confirming what fans feared all along.
As you can see with this play here, she gets a handoff from Aaliyah Boston, and then she fumbles the ball a little bit and she falls to the ground.
Caitlin Clark's injury may be far more serious than anyone first believed.
Caitlin does this crazy juke, and she did a step with the left leg. You can see in her face that she was screaming.
From limping off the court with pain written all over her face, to fans begging the Indiana Fever to finally sit their star player, this latest update has shaken the entire WNBA community.
The news dropped from the Fever. Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury.
Is it really just a minor groin strain? Or is Clark being pushed beyond her limit by a team desperate for wins and headlines?
Caitlin Clark was on the bench. A lot of us thought that she was done for the evening, but Coach Stephanie White put her back in. And as you can see with this play here, she gets a handoff from Aaliyah Boston, and then she fumbles the ball a little bit and she falls to the ground.
Before we dive into the full story, hit that like button to support Caitlin and drop a comment if you think the Fever have failed to protect the league's biggest asset. Now, let's break it all down.
Caitlin taping her leg, Caitlin playing the way that she is, what happened at the end of that Seattle game, which I also want to show you a clip from that. So at the end of the Seattle Storm game, the Indiana Fever are up by 8 points.
The moment that shook fans came with just 16 seconds left on the clock during the Indiana Fever's recent game against the Seattle Storm. The game was already decided.
People are wondering why the hell was Caitlin Clark in this game, a game that was over with 16 seconds left against the Storm. They won the game.
Basketball of the season.
But some people are saying that Caitlin Clark got injured.
Off as Clark's back in.
The Fever had the win locked in, and yet Caitlin Clark was inexplicably sent back onto the court. What happened next? That's what fans can't stop talking about.
As you can see with this play here, she gets a handoff from Aaliyah Boston, and then she fumbles the ball a little bit and she falls to the ground.
Clark received a handoff from Aaliyah Boston near the top of the key. The ball slipped. She lunged, and then, boom, you could see it.
You can see in her face that she was screaming. She was like, not necessarily screaming, but yelling, right? And boom, she falls over, get the ball, she's getting up. And as she gets up and Erica Wheeler is checking on her, she ended up grabbing her groin right here. All right, so yeah, of course, this is what started that groin injury.
That sharp jolt, that grimace of pain, and her clutching her left groin as she struggled to stand up. It wasn't just a stumble. The new footage reveals a non-contact movement, the kind that often signals something deeper than a simple tweak.
Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark play. Over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark.
Erica Wheeler helped her up, but the damage looked done. Clark limped to the bench, visibly shaken, mouthing "ow" and showing discomfort that couldn't be hidden.
I think the refs need to check the hand checks, man. They need to pay attention to these hand checks. Just watch how Izzy just grabs on Caitlin Clark, man. Just watch this. Right? She drives by, boom, she's just holding her. This is not, you can't do this, y'all. She's holding her right here.
Fans immediately took to social media, asking the question we're all thinking. Why was Caitlin Clark even on the court at that point? It was a decision that now looks reckless and possibly costly.
People are saying that Caitlin Clark got injured.
Off as Clark's back in.
Right there.
Down.
All right, on that play
and
that just happened, that it may be where the injury transpired.
In slow motion, the footage clearly shows Clark overextending during a rapid change of direction. Medical experts and former athletes have chimed in.
Caitlin Clark has suffered yet another hard foul, and the referees failed to make a call.
The WNBA is physical, and she just needs to get over it. I think Caitlin's hurt in the Indiana Fever and sits her.
Warning that these are the exact types of movements that lead to groin tears, not strains, especially if there's already a history of overuse or lingering quad injuries. And that's the bigger issue. This didn't come out of nowhere.
Scrubbing the game, looking for, and there it is. Caitlin Clark dealing with that groin issue. Caitlin Clark clearly not looking like herself. The Indiana Fever has the game put away, yet we still put her back in the game at 45 seconds left.
Clark's struggles started weeks ago. She had a visible wrap on her left thigh. Her shooting percentage had dropped off a cliff. Her energy seemed low. Even her signature crowd-hyping moments had faded. Something wasn't right, and now the video proves it.
Caitlin Clark dealing with an injury, not looking like herself. The game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in.
So the real question is, was this injury preventable? Because from what we're seeing, this wasn't an isolated incident. It was the result of a pattern of poor load management.
And I was worried about that play. I was also like, why in the world is she back in the game with 16 seconds left? They're up by 8. It's pretty clear at this point that the Indiana Fever are going to win that game. But this was an instance, like, I just don't know how Coach Stephanie White would have no clue that nothing was going on with all of these signs where even fans were kind of figuring out.
Questionable coaching decisions, and a young superstar being pushed through pain to keep the league's ratings alive. And fans, they're done staying quiet about it.
Boom, she falls over, get the ball, she's getting up. And as she gets up and Erica Wheeler is checking on her, she ended up grabbing her groin right here. All right, so yeah, of course, this is what started that groin injury.
Before Caitlin Clark ever clutched her groin in pain, the signs were all there. They just weren't taken seriously. Her body was sending signals. Her performance was shifting. And her fans, they noticed before her own organization did.
It was 16 seconds on the clock on that inbound play.
Why in the world is she back in the game with 16 seconds left? Over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She says, ow, she's kind of limping to the bench. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games.
In the 3 games leading up to her injury, Caitlin made just 1 3-pointer. That's not a slump. That's a red flag. Her shot, normally smooth and effortless, looked forced. Her mechanics were off. Her energy, gone.
She had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games.
Even during warm-ups, her routine had changed, and the tape wrapped tightly around her left upper thigh wasn't fooling anyone. Something was clearly wrong, yet nothing was done.
If you have an injury and you don't allow it to heal all the way, your body starts compensating in other ways. Your mechanics change.
Fans started asking, why isn't she sitting out? Former players weighed in too, pointing out that lingering injuries, especially in the quad or groin, can snowball fast.
The news dropped from the Fever. Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury.
Caitlin Clark out yet again with a left groin injury.
One expert even said this could be the result of overcompensation. When one part of your body is hurt, other parts take on the strain. That's how a quad issue turns into a groin injury. And from there, it only gets worse. Let's not forget, Caitlin came into the season bulkier and stronger than ever before.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year 1.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
She added serious muscle in the offseason, likely to keep up with the physicality of the WNBA. But with more muscle comes more pressure on joints, ligaments, and mobility. If that transition isn't managed carefully, especially without proper 5-on-5 reps during the offseason, the risk of injury skyrockets. And sadly, that's exactly what played out. The Indiana Fever's coaching staff, led by Stephanie White, is now under fire. How did they miss all of this?
And even in her pregame routine, she was doing some things differently. Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things pointing to the fact that something wasn't right. And I have to be totally honest with you guys, I'm not surprised by this news at all.
Clark's taped leg, her slumping stats, her noticeable limp at moments, her emotional distance during games. And yet, even with all these warnings, She was played for 34 minutes, then again for 31 minutes, even while clearly not at 100%. That's not just bad management. That's negligence.
It was 16 seconds on the clock on that inbound play.
Why in the world is she back in the game with 16 seconds left? Over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlin Clark is not feeling like Caitlin Clark. She says, ow, she's kind of limping to the bench. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games.
Now fans are demanding accountability because this wasn't just a freak accident. It was a preventable disaster. One that could have been avoided if someone, anyone, had stepped in and said, she needs rest now. But instead, the Fever gambled, and they may have just risked the long-term health of the league's most valuable player.
Caitlin, when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back-to-back a factor at all with that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a factor from a physical standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint. Certainly in my mind, it is. But at the same time, she's shown that she's tough and she's a quick healer. So we'll see.
Was it something she reported yesterday, like pain in the left groin?
It had to have been at some point during the day because they took her out yesterday, for the MRI. So I'm not exactly sure. I didn't hear about it until we heard from our training staff last night.
And with the MRI, did it show a strain or anything? Or
I don't. You'll have to ask our training staff. Yeah.
As the truth about Caitlin Clark's injury continues to unfold, one thing is becoming crystal clear. Fans are losing trust in the Indiana Fever organization, and fast. From mishandling injury updates to confusing public statements, the front office and coaching staff have created a storm of skepticism.
Stephanie White said Caitlin Clark reported pain to the training staff last night, then got an MRI on her groin.
Caitlin Clark did get an MRI last night because she was feeling pain in her groin.
Find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Head coach Stephanie White's press conference didn't ease any fears either. When asked about Clark's MRI results, she deflected. You'll have to ask the training staff. When asked if it was a strain, I don't know. How does the head coach not know what's happening with her star player, the face of the WNBA? And it gets worse. Clark reportedly informed the training staff of groin pain the night before the injury became public.
When she says you have to ask our training staff, are any of us really going to get the opportunity to actually talk to a training staff member? So like what Stephanie White is doing right there is basically saying, I can't tell you, even if I could tell you, it's not going to be announced through me. It's going to be announced just how they announce everything else. They're going to announce it through a press conference. They're going to announce it through a press release, a tweet with the information.
But fans had already spotted signs for days. From taped legs to altered movement, even her own supporters on Twitter were screaming, "Something's wrong." Yet the team acted like it came out of nowhere. This pattern of poor communication feels familiar. Remember the Dana Bonner situation? The Fever repeatedly claimed she was out for personal reasons, only for it to later emerge that there were internal issues behind the scenes. That saga left a sour taste in fans' mouths. And now with Caitlin, it's happening again. There's a growing feeling that the organization is more concerned with protecting its image than protecting its players.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
She's my role model. I really look up to her. Why do you like Caitlin?
And she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
And in the case of Caitlin Clark, arguably the biggest reason behind the Fever's revenue boom, merch sales, and national spotlight, this silence is deafening. Here's the harsh reality. Caitlin isn't just another player. She's the ratings driver, the ticket seller, the merchandise mover, the face on every poster and promo. When she plays, viewership spikes. When she sits, ratings drop by over 50%. It's no secret. So the question that's haunting everyone now is this.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
Caitlin Clark is the star player of the WNBA.
The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark.
Was Caitlin Clark rushed back too soon just to keep the numbers up? Because if the Fever truly knew she wasn't fully recovered, yet still ramped her minutes up to 30 plus a night, threw her back in during garbage time, and ignored clear warning signs.
The Marina Maybury shit was dirty. The eye gouge is dirty.
She missed that first preseason game because of the quad.
She's a great passer. She reminds me of Steph Curry.
She has moved merchandise up 500%, ratings 50%.
Caitlin Clark, your greatest asset, is going to get hurt. The face of your league is going to get hurt if you continue to allow all this physical play to happen.
There's only one so far that truly has like a Tiger Woods, Mike Tyson, LeBron James.
Needle mover.
LeBron James in his prime impact on viewership, and that's Caitlin Clark.
Then this isn't just mismanagement. It's sacrificing a generational talent for short-term gains. The trust is broken, and the consequences could echo far beyond this injury, especially if Caitlin Clark decides she's had enough.
Caitlin Clark is out with a groin injury. Buying it, or is it a mental break? Fans are done with Stephanie White. The honeymoon period is over. Stephanie White is not the coach the Fever need.
Caitlin Clark was hurt, and the signs were there long before anyone in the Fever organization admitted it. From coaching decisions to confusing medical updates, it's clear something isn't adding up. And now fans are left asking the hardest question of all. Did they just risk the future of the WNBA's biggest star for one more highlight?
There's no one else in the league who's putting up the viewership.
I just see the numbers. So, like, I know what the numbers are when she's playing, and I know what they are when she's not.
The fallout has begun. That's the draw. That's the aura. That's the brand. She is the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark deserves better. She deserves protection. She deserves transparency. And above all, she deserves time to heal fully and properly. If you believe that too, drop a heart in the comments.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
And she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
Let's stand with Caitlin and demand better, not just for her, but for every athlete who's ever been pushed when they should have been protected. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for the latest updates, and turn on notifications, because as this story unfolds, we'll be here breaking it down every step of the way. Take care of your star or risk losing the game entirely.